They all thought I was crazy. But what I learned from reading all the books that I did and implementing them in my life is that only crazy people change the world. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Dr. Lydia Show. Happy New Year, and I am so glad that you're here with me. As the new year is approaching, this is the time for New Year's resolution and assessment on what we could have done different from last year to this year. So I thought one of the first episodes that we should talk about is time management. And I wanted to share with you a book that was so instrumental in me itemizing my life, identifying the things that I need to improve, how I was going to do it. It's called it is called The Power of an Hour by Dave. My God, Mr. Dave Lakhani. It's Lakhani. I apologize again if I slaughtered your name. But one of the biggest quotes, too, in creating this episode that I thought was also instrumental here is that I saw this somewhere and it says the two most powerful warriors that most of us fight are patience and time. And I know these are challenges for me because if you know me personally, know that when patience were when God was giving out patience, I was probably in the back of the line. And but over the years I've learned to be a little bit better. And so these are things that I wanted to share with you and how you could use time management to help you through your quarters or through this year coming up. Before I go through any of this too, I wanted to also share with you something incredible that I do with the kids. Yesterday was our family meeting. So we got together and we looked at things per quarter. So we had a family, well, and this is something that we've done. Well, we've implemented since they were small. It's funny, before I tell you about the meeting, I remember once my oldest son, he was probably around 6 or 7, and we went to this camp thing, and the speaker was speaking, and they said to him about having business meetings, things like that. He's like, we have that all the time. And everybody was looking at him as if he was strange. But in our household, we do, and I've told you this in previous episodes too, is that we do treat our lives as business, because our personal life and business as the same. In truth, I don't know how to separate the two, because I've realized the things that worked in business does work in your personal life. And if we're able to put them together, it would really be beneficial to us. So in the meeting yesterday now, we wrote everything, and even the baby, he had to tell me what it is within his show, Major League Toy Box, that he thought that he wanted to improve. And I gave each of them an opportunity to speak. Then I added, or each of them also added in ways that they could help each other, to be accountable, and to help us together as a mastermind group, or as a family unit, or as an effective family, for us to reach our goals together. So the book I'll share with you is A Power of an Hour. And so many things within the book that was so instrumental to me, because these principles, I never heard of them before reading the book. And I often tell people of my journey, growth into being who I am. And I came across this book by accident. I mentioned before in previous episodes that I thought that I needed to grow. I went to the library and I saw these books and I was like, look, I needed to read them. I grabbed the CDs and I plugged them in, and that became a part of my life. Now, when I came across The Power of an Hour, some things, one of the first things that it talked about is setting the stage and to define clearly what you want your goals to be. So when I talked to you about, for instance, the meeting that we did yesterday, when they put something generic like, okay, I want to work out more, or I want to shoot more videos, or I want to stream more, or something generic like that. Then we try to narrow it down, like, okay, let's be clear of how much time you're willing to put into this particular thing, because discipline and habits does come hand in hand, and also focus. And we will talk about those as we continue throughout this season of the Dr. Lydia Show. And so, one of the first tips that you should always remember, you write down clearly, is what it is that you want to do, what it is that you want to accomplish. And guess what? It is not always going to be clear of how you're going to get it. But once you have your goals written down, I've said this before, and I'm sure you guys have heard this from a lot of motivational speakers, is that God will open up the way so that everything that you want, people are drawn to you to help you to get there and to help you to get to where you need to go. So, number two thing that they have is identify the roadblocks that or the challenges that you potentially will face. Look closely at what's holding you back. And at this point, this is when it comes to business itself, is that how you SWOT analysis. Remember, we talked about the business plan. This is where you talk about the weaknesses, or you identify what is holding you back. Whether it's I watch too much television, maybe you could take away 15 minutes from that. Um, it could be that you want to put more personal time into your self-care. 2024, you know, it's about growing. And if you're not happy as a person, how can you really help your family and the people around you? If you're not mentally there, how could you help everybody else? So that should be things. And I think it actually talks about that too, that you should also prioritize yourself. So once you identify what it is that going back to the meeting yesterday, when they try to introduce something that they have not been working on, the question that I always ask is that how much time are you willing to allocate to it? If you have not identified that, it's could it be 15 minutes or 30 minutes? It doesn't have to be a long time. You know, I also saw something that is so important for me to share. It says that the rule of 100 hours is that if you were to spend about 80 minutes a day in any particular skill, whether it's sports, discipline, playing an instrument, um, I don't know, karate, reading, new skill, you will be better off 95% than the world, or 95% of people. Can you imagine that? And all it takes is 15, 20 minutes a day. So that's what I was trying to explain to them, is that if in introducing a new skill to yourself, skill set, because when you start your business, you don't always know everything, and you shouldn't. Well, most people don't. But one of the best things into learning and growing and pouring into yourself is learning these skills, reading. And then once you do that, you implement it into your business or into whatever goals that you're personally invested in into this new year. And so for that, it shouldn't take you a lot of time, because you know what? I also saw this somewhere where they said that our brain is designed to really hold us back. All the brain wants to do is to survive. So, what it takes is these little simple things. If you were to do them consistently, then it's like you spoon feeding your brain and your body into giving you what it is that you're actually wanting to do. The next thing, and we talked about this also, is to destroy the roadblocks. So once you identify them, figure out ways that you can counter them. Okay, so if time management it's the problem, then we'll learn new skills to implement so that it will take 5-10 minutes a day. We can all spare that. If it's about working out, a lot of times for us, for me, the idea of getting up, getting dressed, going to the gym, it really is tedious for me. I know a lot of people will get up and they get dressed, and that's their me time and their time away, right? But for me, I think to myself, if I could do a few jumping jacks, if I could get on the treadmill for 15 minutes, if I could even go to the yard and do some yard work, for me, that would work for me. That will give me the same result if I consistently do that. And so it's for you to identify what will do that for you. For instance, if it is, and in this book, if you were to read the book and you wanted to implement any one of these things, one of the amazing things about the Power of an Hour is that the tips that it provides is for you to use them an hour a day, if that, right? So that you can make them a part of your habit and a part of your life. And again, I listen to these books on Audible now. Back then I used to listen to them on CDs. But these books that I'm sharing with you are the ones that are I have made a core value a part of my life. And when people ask me all the time, how are you able to accomplish so much? I can always point back to certain books, and these are what I am sharing with you so that just to reduce your learning curve and to help you to progress a little bit faster through the year into learning a new skill, into growing, and for you to accomplish what you need to do. One of the other tips is for you to build relationships, spend more time with the supportive people. We've talked about this in previous episodes too. You an average of your friends, right? So if your family aren't supporting you, find the people that are, or create that group around you. I told you before, like when I started, I didn't have the luxury of my family all jumping on board. They weren't. Or the friends that I had, in truth, they all thought I was crazy. But what I learned from reading all the books that I did and implementing them in my life is that only crazy people change the world. And I was willing to be crazy to test at least test all these things that I was learning. Because the worst thing that could happen is that I will stay the same place. And the worst that could happen is that I would be at the same place after implementing it. And I'm already here. So it would be a win me implementing them anyways. Or best case scenario, what if it works? What if this year is your year to implement a new skill and it will actually change your life? What will that do for you, your family, generational wealth, and your children? It's amazing. And so that's the reason why I'm saying to you, and look, even if you don't have those people right now, keep growing. Those people will find you because we are all energy source and we are whatever you're seeking is also seeking you. Okay. So the other tip is sort out your finances, develop your personal financial plan. And I've talked to you about that in your spending habits, identifying and learning where you can save a little bit so that you can invest it into your future self, understanding where the waste are. Let me tell you something. This is something that I've noticed with a lot of people because they're not doing so well. And I've talked about this previously. They don't want to look back at their finances. I want to look at it. Last year, when we did the same thing towards the end of the year, where we are, I always say to the kids, it's like how grateful we are to be here, how grateful we are to be able to say that we can afford the life that we have, even if it's being able to simply provide for your basic needs, even if it's simply just to have food. Because so many people in this world don't have the luxury that you have and wish to be in the same position that you do. And this is why being grateful and having these plans and looking at it will bring to you better things. Okay. So the next tip is do some self improvement. Keep learning and setting new goals. I talked about this just a minute ago. And I wanted to say, it was someone else I was talking to. And I said, when I was 21 years old, I set a few goals for myself. And some of them were to finish. I wanted to first get my associate degree. I wanted to, more than anything, to have my daughter. I wanted to own my first home. I wanted to be able to provide for her. And I thought, man, when I accomplished all of that, and maybe previous episodes after this, I'll tell you a little bit like how eerie to me. I thought, man, could it be that God had brought all of these things to me? But it really happened. And when that happened for me, I thought, wow, what do you do at this point? And I did not have, nobody sat me down and nobody said to me, just create new goals, create new plans, achieve, learn, grow, be more, be better. No one said that to me. So what I did for myself was, oh, okay, well, I could do this. I could do that. I could do this. And really, that's how I was. And then for me, what it seemed like for the next 3, 4 years of my life, I felt like I was a ship with no direction, or like a coconut on in a wave, or on the sea, right? So you're landing on an island. Maybe if the wave doesn't come and wash you someplace else, right? It may happen, it may not happen. And that's exactly what I felt like. I had no sense of direction. By the time I got to be 24, 25, I was like, you know what? What if, just what if I started creating new plans for myself? What would really happen? And ever since then, every single plans that I created for myself, I accomplished them. And it just keep happening that way. As if by magic, the universe was giving me everything that I was asking for. I wrote them down on paper, and I sometimes I go back to look at different books that I just wrote dreams, or maybe I was sketching something or staging or even a clothes, and then the ideas would come to me to have those things come to life. And for most people, they're not using all that's given to them to get to where they need to go. So that's why you should always set new goals. And look, even if you miss the benchmark, you can always get there. Continue to work towards it. The next tip is to take mental vacations. Of course, you cannot go at 100 miles an hour all the time. You have to take a break, refresh, and recharge and get back at it. The problem that most people have is that they stop, and a month, 2 months, time just keeps going by and they're not continuing on that path. I think previous episodes I told you of the example is like if you put in your navigation that you were going from, or for an airplane, they're going from, say, California, and they were ending up in Australia, but they decided to stop someplace to get gas, to refuel, and they decided this was the destination and never continue on, they'll never get there. So it's the same for you, is that when you stop to recharge, refresh, remember your overall purpose, what it is, make sure your why is bigger than what it is, that any distraction or anything that's holding you back, for you to be able to accomplish your dreams. For me, the truth is, I take a couple hours off sometimes. Wait, I have a self-care day that I designate. That's Sundays for me. Um, and I schedule family days. I schedule things. I even schedule time when I speak to my clients, schedule times when I do callbacks, schedule times when I check the internet, to go on social media. I schedule times for this because this helps me to have more time for me, more time for my family, more time for the things that I love and I want to do. And I want to provide you guys with this exact same tip so you'll be organized just a little bit more, so that you could get your life together, really, and be a little bit better than me. So, the next tip is to create a master life vision, map out what you want to achieve, and go towards it. Here's a funny story. After I had my associate degree, it took me about, I want to say, 4 years before I went back to school to, and once I did, I got my bachelor's, my master's, and my doctorate. Like, I didn't stop. When I was going around telling everybody at the time, because I had only had 3 kids, I was just had 3 kids, single mother. I know, like, watching a lot of the podcasts and a lot of people talking, they were like, oh my God, you wouldn't be anybody of value, right? But what I wanted to make sure is that my children became a motivator, and that didn't stop me from being who I wanted to be and accomplishing what it is that I wanted to do. So it doesn't matter who you are or where you're going. Where you are now does not stop you from where you want to be in the future. You can be that. You can have that master life or that accomplishment that you really want to create. All you have to do is to create it, um, that image of yourself, work towards it every single day, and you can accomplish it. I'm telling you, most people did not think that I could accomplish being a doctor or having that education. Well, even with businesses, people didn't think that. Even with the show or a lot of the things that I do, but I don't do any of it because of their belief. If I was depending on their belief, I'm telling you, I wouldn't even get started. I'm doing it because I believe in myself and I want to do it for me. I want to do it for my kids. I want to do it for my future generation. I want to know that right after, like, 100, 200 years from now, my kids, my grandkids, my great grandkids will remember me, remember my name, to know that I made a difference in their life. So, one of the next tip that he talks about for personal growth is always reinvent yourself frequently. Make big changes and use everyday action. And we talked about that. If it's 15 minutes a day, whatever it is, just make sure consistency is key. I often ask my kids this when when they have or they're struggling, or people or anybody that I'm talking to, mentor and business consult. It doesn't matter. Like, they have like this huge dream that they don't believe in themselves. I always ask, how do you eat an ox or a cow or something like that? How? One bite at a time. You've got to break it down to small tasks, small, meaningful things that will bring fulfillment to you. And another real tip is that what I try to teach them, and I want to help you with, is that a lot of times we want to do the easier things first. I would suggest that you do the things that are most challenging to you, or the ones that you're having mental blocks with first, and get those out the way. Your body again will release a chemical that you need to get you to the next task and the next task and the next task. And then you will create a habit of getting things done, a small habit of accomplishing things. And that's what you want to do instead of quitting or procrastinating, or we don't want by the end of the year to say, oh my goodness, I should have, could have, would have. Our journey or our hope within this year is that to accomplish everything that we set out to do. And that start by mastering our time, mastering what we do within an hour. A lot of times we sit on the phone, right, with our friends or family. And instead of helping them to be on the same page with us with our goals and helping them hold us accountable in what it is that we want to do, we're sitting here and we're chit-chatting about this person, that person, this. What's the purpose? What is that doing to help you to get to where you need to go? Another question somebody just asked me sometime this week, they said, do you watch all those reality TV with the gossip this or gossip that? In truth, I watch shows other than superhero stuff because I love them. And I love the ideas, the creativity behind that. I will listen to different songs like, wow, how did that person get there, right? Other than that stuff, everything that I watch or feed to myself, it must be purposeful. It must be purposeful. And I'm recommending for this year, for the year 2024, to make things purposeful for you. Value your time, because the power of an hour, go out, read the book, get the book. And again, I have no affiliation with these people that I'm recommending these books to you. It's just that these books have helped shaped my life, and I've used them in an applicable format. And I'm telling you, it works. When you look at your time, and I am at one point, somebody, I don't remember where I got this from. They talked about different people that you could get on the phone with: 5-minute people, 10-minute people, 15-minute people, right? You should put people in those categories and make sure that all your conversations is leading you in that direction too. So you think an hour, using an hour a day, changing your life is outlandish or probably challenging for you? Think of somebody that just found out that they're probably dying, and they need an hour to spend with their time, with their family, hour of time to spend with their family, their friends, and their loved ones. How important that will be for them. And honestly, that is how I approach my life and in everything that I do. This is why I'm so purposeful with my time, everything that I do, and I want to help you to do the same. So, with that episode, I recommend that we get our time together so that we can accomplish our goals, and all our New Year's resolution this year will be where we want it to be. And that's my hope for us. So, thank you again for joining me for this episode of the Dr. Lydia Show. Remember to like, share, subscribe, share it with your family and your friends. Um, if you have small groups of people, it doesn't matter. Like if there's an idea or something that you think that I've missed that you want me to talk about, send me an email, drop me a comment, and I will address it. Thank you so much for being a part of this community and sharing my episode. And I look forward to you joining me on the next episode of the Dr. Lydia Show. I'm Dr. Lydia.